you're looking for ways to train that directly facilitate your performance in other sports such as Muay Thai, then stick around to the end of this video. I'm going to share with you the list of exercises that gave me a competitive edge when starting out on my Muay Thai journey. The exercises have all been chosen based on a very selective criteria. They'll only include exercises that are highly accessible, so you won't need any elaborate equipment to perform them. The exercises will also have variations and progressions, so that they can be adapted to suit all levels. If done consistently, these exercises will build a great foundation of fitness that will cross over to many other sport and activities. Push-ups are commonly trained in Muay Thai, as the movement develops many of the same muscle groups utilised within the sport. It's a great exercise for conditioning the body, building endurance and strengthening the chest, shoulders and triceps. Notice that the same muscles that are utilised when throwing a punch are also utilised within the push-up. Push-ups are extremely practical and low impact, which minimises the risk of injury. It can also be performed almost anywhere, provided that you have a solid surface and enough room to work with. Keep your body tight and focus on flexing your entire core, as well as your quads and glutes, to prevent your hips from dropping. This will help ensure that tension is placed on the desired muscle groups, and has the added bonus of isometrically training the core because you're bracing it throughout the entire movement. Also avoid going to the other extreme and shooting your butt up into the air, as while this can be useful when training for pike push-ups, it is not desirable for the standard push-up, as it takes tension off the chest and reduces your range of motion. Another common mistake is flaring the elbows too much. This also reduces your range of motion and can cause shoulder pain over time. Something that has really helped me in developing more powerful punches has been training explosive push-ups. I would, however, recommend being able to do a minimum of around 10 to 20 push-ups before you progress to doing explosive push-ups. Explosive push-ups are higher impact, so they will require a bit of prior groundwork to avoid injury and perform safely. Training explosive push-ups is a great way to develop power that will translate over to other sports and activities. Push-ups have an abundance of variations to keep things interesting and ensure that you'll always have harder progressions to achieve. When banging out sets of regular push-ups has become easy for you, you can progress to trying harder variations such as the archer push-up. Once you've mastered the archer push-up, you can then move on to learning the one-arm push-up. Wrist push-ups are also an appropriate progression, as they help to strengthen and bulletproof the wrists so that they are less likely to get injured. Burpees are also a great full body movement that incorporate the push-up within them. Have fun with the variations and progressions, and enjoy the added benefits that you will see across all of your other trainings. Handstands develop the shoulders and the core, which are crucial muscles in performing many of the Muay Thai movements. Strong shoulders assist in having an unbreakable long guard, which is an extremely important defensive element of Muay Thai. Being able to defend yourself properly in a fight is arguably just as important as being a good striker. It helps mitigate the amount of damage you'll take over a fight and keeps your opponent at an effective range. Start by training against the wall. Walk your way up and hold the position with your body being as aligned as possible. Remember to breathe as well, as this will lengthen the time that you can stay inverted. You can use a timer and gradually increase the time that you're able to hold the handstand for. Or you can train to failure and just come down when you are too fatigued to continue. If wall holds are too difficult, you can work your way up using the pike push-up until you have the strength to hold yourself vertically. I typically find though that with most people, it's not an issue of strength, but rather an issue of balance and technique holding them back from achieving the handstand. A great progression to increase the challenge from the wall hold while still keeping balance out of the handstand is to do shoulder taps. Shoulder taps require you to momentarily balance on one hand, essentially making the movement twice as difficult. So only attempt this progression after getting very comfortable with being upside down. This will also make doing regular handstands feel much easier, as you get an appreciation for how much stronger a base of 2 arms is over 1. The next progression is working away from the wall to develop the balance element of the handstand. This will really require you to engage your core and breathe throughout the entire exercise. My free balance handstands still aren't where I want them to be. I'm guilty of disengaging the core and not getting full extension out of the shoulders. For this reason, I always start my practice with wall holds to get a feeling of how I want my body to be aligned throughout the exercise and to remind me to engage my core and take deep, full breaths. I then transfer these cues over to my free balance practice, which has been helping a lot in cleaning up my handstand form. The L-sit helps develop a strong lower core. A strong core is extremely important when fighting, as the core is essentially the protective barrier that prevents your internals from getting battered during a fight. A developed core is able to absorb and mitigate some of the impact from kicks, punches, and knees. The reason that I recommend doing L-sits instead of traditional crunches is because the L-sits target the neglected lower abs and strengthen the hip flexors, which are an important muscle for throwing kicks, knees, and checking. The L-sit is an isometric exercise that requires you to brace the core for long periods of time, which builds stamina and endurance, both important elements of Muay Thai. If L-sits are too challenging to begin with, you can bend your knees, or alternatively, keep your glutes on the ground and work your way up from a seated leg raise or a V-sit. Fighting is a high-intensity interval sport, meaning that you are undertaking short but intense bouts of exercise before resting during rounds and then repeating the process. A great way to facilitate fitness in this area is to do high-intensity interval trainings, where just like fighting, you undergo intense bouts of exercise followed by periods of rest. Sprints build your anaerobic fitness, allowing you to perform movements explosively and recover quickly. It is also very easy to progress. Simply just beat your previous time, or start incorporating slight inclines and work your way up to even steeper hill sprints. Sprinting in waist-deep water or on sand is also an easy and accessible way to increase resistance and difficulty. The Cossack squat is a variation of the traditional squat that requires strength, mobility, and flexibility to perform. This squat variation will be very challenging for people who lack hip mobility and flexibility. So expect to start with a small range of motion and gradually work your way up to performing the movement with its full range of motion. The Cossack squat can improve kicking technique through opening up the hips and allowing them to function at full mobility. Begin by doing isometric holds at a depth that is comfortable for you to perform. Aim to increase this depth incrementally each session as you become more comfortable with the movement. Once you've built up to a solid range of motion with good upright posture, you can begin making it more active through performing reps and sets. When bodyweight Cossack squats become too easy, you're ready to perform weighted Cossack squats. Start very light and only increase the weight incrementally as you are ready to do so. Adding 1 kilogram every second week might not seem like much short term, but over the course of a year, it adds up to an improvement of over 25 kilograms. Doing incremental progressions also gives your body time to adapt to the new workload and recover quickly, making it a far more sustainable approach than maxing out each session. None of these exercises require any elaborate equipment, so they are highly accessible and can be performed almost anywhere. Build these exercises into your workout routine and be consistent with them over a long period of time, and the results will speak for themselves. You'll build a strong chest and shoulders through push-ups and handstands, which will buffer your defensive and striking game in fighting. L-sits will condition your core and strengthen your hip flexors, which will improve your ability to absorb damage and check kicks. Sprints will improve your anaerobic fitness, allowing you to perform at a high intensity and recover quickly during rounds. The Cossack squat will improve leg strength, hip mobility, and flexibility, which all transfer over well to performing technically sound kicks. As always, feel free to drop any comments, questions, or reviews down below. It helps mitigate the amount of It helps mitigate the amount. Fuck you, dog. Fuck you. Destroying my video, piece of shit.